What you need to do is ask yourself this. If you took money off the table, if you didn't give a shit what anybody else thought, what's the thing you would love to be doing with your life? What do you really want? Now, I'm not talking about something small. I'm not talking about a little haiku. I'm not talking about renovating your kitchen. I'm not talking about signing on 10 new customers this month. I'm talking about what you really want. Be honest with yourself. What is it that you would want to do with your life if you didn't have to pay the bills doing it?
Number one thing is you have to have a very clear vision, a very clear goal of where you want to go, because only then you will get there. You can have the best airplane or the best ship in the world, but if the captain doesn't know where to go, he will just drift around. If the pilot doesn't know where to go, he will just drift around with his plane. So I think the key thing is that we know where we're going and that you're very passionate about that. You see it always in front of you, the goal. And the other thing that's important is that you got to shoot for the top. You got to go and really have big goals and think big, because then you're going to get big. Then you're going to go and achieve big things. That is the most important thing. You know, we don't achieve big things by accident. So shoot for the top, shoot for the sky, shoot for the, for the stars.
If you know exactly what it is you really want, what you desire, what you're really after, clarity is power. The more clear you are on specifically what you want, the faster your brain can get you there. But if you're generally saying things like, what do I want? Well, yeah, I want more money. Fine, here's $1, get out of here. Did you achieve the outcome? Yeah, when you're that general, you think you're not getting your goal, you are. The way you language your goal, the way you think about it, you're receiving it. I want to feel a bit better. I want to lose some weight. Fine, you lost a pound, you're done.
You're playing the game of poker. If you take all your chips and you push them in the middle of the table, what does that mean? A player on the team at the time named Justin Tuck was there, and I remember he smiled. He was sitting in the back room. He said, well, if you push all your chips in the middle of the table, it means you're all in, you're ready to win, you're done going halfway. I said, okay. But what would happen if everyone shows their cards, but then you pull your chips back and you tell everyone you were just kidding? I remember he smiled even wider and said, well, if you're playing poker at my house, that's how you get punched in the face. I said, Justin, you're right. So if we would never do it in a game of poker, why do we do it with our lives? Why do we say we're going to be committed to something when things get tough, when the unexpected happens, we back away and say, it's not for me?
Most of you are not doing what you want to do with your life because you're worried about somebody else's opinion. There is way too many people in this room right now that are doing stuff they hate. Please stop doing that. Promise me you won't.
Don't listen to the naysayers, because there's always people out there that will tell you that you will not be able to do that, forget it, it's a stupid dream that you have, or a crazy vision. Those. Don't listen to the naysayers. The other thing is that you got to work your butt off. If you think that you're going to go and accomplish something really special and be the best in anything in the world, and you think you can do it without working, you make a big mistake. Because no matter what I did, if it was in bodybuilding or in acting or if it is in the political arena, it always took a lot of work. And you got to put out, and you got to, sometimes make a lot of sacrifices. Notice, if you're not willing to work hard, forget about it. So there's another rule that is very important.
You can say, well, I'm not willing to put in the effort because what if I fail? Well, first of all, if you don't put in the effort, you will fail because life is hard and it takes everything out of you to do it properly. Because the question is, if you want something, what does it mean to want it? And what it means is to sacrifice whatever is necessary to get it, because otherwise you don't want it. And so there's an equation here, and I'm not claiming its ultimate accuracy, but the equation is something like, you don't want it unless you're willing to sacrifice for it.
Look, in life, it's going to be very easy for you to blame everybody. Very easy for you to blame everybody. You can blame everybody else, but there's one person that's going to know that you didn't take responsibility, and that's you. That's a tough one to live with.
I didn't get a new daddy. Victor and not a victim.
It's take no less than 100% responsibility for your life. You know, one of the greatest myths that's pervasive in our culture today is that you're entitled to a great life and that somehow, somewhere, someone is responsible for filling our lives with continual happiness and exciting career options, a nurturing family and blissful personal relationships simply because we exist. But the real truth is that there's only one person responsible for the quality of your life, and that person is you.
In life, we're all born with either an advantage or disadvantage. We either started with too much or we started with too little, and then basically, you know, your internal fortitude decides if that was good or bad. I've sat with people that have $10 million in their trust fund crying, saying that they hate their lives because their parents took care of everything and they'll never achieve anything on their own, and no matter what they achieve, everybody's gonna say it wasn't them, and they think it's the worst and they're suicidal. This is real. To be very honest with you, I'll give you the answer. You have no choice. What's the alternative? When you have a setback, what are you gonna sit there and say it was your granddad and your dad? I mean, you know that's not true. It's why you have so many wins.
You see, you only have 3 things that you can control in your life: the thoughts you think, the images you visualize, and the actions you take. And how you use those 3 things determines everything you experience. So if you don't like what you're experiencing and what you're producing as results in your life, you have to change your mental, your visual, and your behavioral responses to the events that occur in your life.
It does not matter where you come from. I have seen people come out of the desert, walk across the desert, being born in the most dire of circumstances. Doesn't matter what your mama did, whether she did or had a PhD or no D, what matters is now, this moment, and your willingness to see this moment for what it is, accept it, forgive the past, take responsibility, and move forward.
See, that's the difference in how your life works out. It's not what happens, it's what you do. So here's one of the key questions of the evening. Starting tomorrow, what are you going to do that'll make a change in your life's direction? Now see, if you don't do something starting tomorrow that'll make a difference, guess what? It's gonna be the same. And see, that way you can guess what the next 5 years are gonna be like. Look at the last 5. Because the next 5 are going to be like the last 5 unless you, major key, tomorrow, change it all.
Successful people take full responsibility for the thoughts they think, the images they visualize, and the actions they take. They don't waste their time and energy on blaming and complaining. They evaluate their experiences and decide if they need to change them or not. They face the uncomfortable and they take risks in order to create the life that they want to live.
And the brilliant insight that changes everything for people is realizing that responsibility is never given, it's taken. And that if you choose to take responsibility, all these doors open up, and that you get a totally different life in exchange.
Next time you have a loss, next time you have a breakup, next time something happens that hurts, truly hurts, instead of blaming the world, take a piece of paper and take responsibility and say, what did I learn from this? What can I do better? What bad habits do I have that keep showing up? What bad trends do I have that keep showing up? And I'm gonna make a decision to stop it now and not blaming everybody. And if you decide to do that, don't be surprised where your life changes drastically in a positive way.
We are busier than any other generation we have seen in the last 300 to 400 years. We are just as busy as we can be, and we think because we're busy, we're effective. But I want you to challenge your schedule for a minute and ask yourself, are you really being effective, or is your life cluttered with all kinds of stuff that demands you and drains you and taxes you and stops you from being your highest and best self? And are you substituting busyness and all the chaos that goes along with busyness from being effective?
I think people's relationship with time, we talk about relationships with humans. How's your relationship with your kids? How's your relationship with your wife, your dad or your parents? But we never talk about a relationship with money and time. And your relationship with time is such a key component of your life, because when you get caught in a routine, time goes so quickly. When you understand that there are maybe only 28 summers left, and if you want to truly, get as much experientially out of life, it just creates a tremendous amount of urgency. So, and the fear goes away. Because you're like, shit, man, nobody on the planet, like everybody, no one's gonna be here in 100 years. Do I care what he thinks that, like, we're not gonna be here in 100 years, so why wouldn't I take the chance? Because I'm very aware of my own mortality. You know, I'm 50 years old, I'm turning 50, and the average American lives to be 78. And if that were the case and I was average, that means I got 28 years left. And that dictates, well, who do I want to spend that time with and what do I want to do? And that's a driving, you know, it's like on repeat in my head. So to answer your question, you know, that's sort of what makes me tick.
I think when we start counting our age, we count up, right? We start 0 when you're born and you count up. And it has this sort of built-in assumption that it's never going to end. It just goes on and on and on. You just keep counting up, right? But there are statistical realities that you're going to die. And you're going to die at some statistical average age. And so, you know, if I stay in good shape and I eat well, I'll probably live to around 85, and I can probably be a productive member of society in some way, shape, or form until I'm about 75 or 80. And so I don't report my age as 35, I report my age as 45. You know, I have 45 years left to do something good in this world. I have 45 years left to achieve what I need to get done in this world. And so I very much count down, even though it might sound depressing, it's just the reality. But the inspiration is that it gives me a kick in the ass.
You know, how do you want your life to look? He goes, look, when I die and I go to heaven, he goes, the last thing I want to happen is for God to go, these are the expectations that I had you at. Right. This is where I wanted you to become, but you were far from ever reaching your fullest potential. So he says, I have the obligation to strive more, take more risks, put in more effort to become the man, the leader, the entrepreneur, the visionary, the parent, the father, the spouse that I'm going to be when I die.
Life is not just the passing of time. Life is a collection of experiences, their frequency and their intensity.
There's not a day that goes by when my head hits the pillow where I don't say to myself, like, you know, did I maximize the day, and am I aware of my mortality? And it might sound depressing, but it's not. For me, it's thrilling.
That every moment is a gift, every second is a gift, every thought is a gift, every idea is a gift, every opportunity is a gift, everybody you meet is a gift. You are gifted with opportunities, and I want to show you how to begin to maximize what you've got.
When you change, everything will change for you. When you get better, everything will get better for you. And that's where I picked up that phrase, for things to change, you've got to change. You don't have to change the marketplace. You don't have to change the marketing plan. You don't have to change the economy. You don't have to change countries. You don't have to change circumstances out there. All you've got to do is look within and see if you can change yourself for the better. And as you change, things will start to change for you.
Figure out who you are, don't apologize for who you are, and then become even greater than you naturally are at what you are.
See, if you go through life holding back, and most of us do, most of us, if we ask ourselves, have we done all we can do? Most of us will have to answer, no, we haven't. We've been holding back. We have ideas that we don't act on, things we want to do. We're afraid to take chances. We go through life trying to seek security and not coming outside of our comfort zone, and we take most of our stuff with us to the grave.
I'm not very interested in the person that I am today. I am a far cry from the person that I can imagine and the person that I promised myself that I will continue to work to become. So it's not about who you are. It's about who you want to become and the price you're willing to pay to get there. Become that person. Change the world. Change yourselves.
You will never settle for less than you can be or share or give or create. It's not what we get that makes us happy, it's who we become. how we live our life, who we are as a person. People can take away all the things, but who you become, no one can take away. And the problem is most of us are trying to be something we're not. And it isn't so much about change, about changing yourself. The change happens when you be yourself.
The whole game's broken because everybody's too tied up into other people's opinions. I only care about my opinion of myself. And I care what my mom and wife and kids and the world think, just not as much as I care about the way I think about myself.
I don't really like those words. Self-help or self-management or self-improvement. I don't really like what those words have come to mean these days. Because there's a lot of people out there that are constantly trying to improve themselves by looking for the one change. The one change, right? The one change in their life that's gonna make their dreams come true. Getting better isn't a hack or a trick or a one change that you need to make. Getting better is a campaign. It's a campaign. It's a daily, a weekly, it's an hourly fight.
Work harder on yourself than you do on your job. Work harder on yourself than you do on your business. See if you can find some ways to multiply your value to the marketplace. And he said your income will immediately start to change.
And I'm saying that the fact that you're still here, that you're still breathing, you've got some more work. And you owe it to yourself. You owe it to yourself. So when you get up in the morning, that you can look yourself in the face and say, hey, I'm living my life on my terms. That's important. Not to give up on your dream, not to give up on yourself.